Rise and shine, it's a brand new day. Can take the stage, ready to play. Weekdays at 10, the cars and the scene. Coffee in hand, they're living the dream. Question in the voice, got the whole town awake. Bringing fire to the mic, make no mistake. Shows in the corner, spitting out facts. Dropping truth bombs, ain't holding back. Can in the morning, feel the heat. From 10 a.m. CST, can take a seat. We live and love that break in the mind. Can and the bold. Light up your speakers, crank up the sound. They're talking about life upside down. Opinions exploding like a sonic blast. In the studio, they're built to last. With passion and grit, they engage and ignite. Every single week, their foes can't fight. From sports to politics,
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Good morning and welcome to the first Ken in the Morning, now streaming on Rumble. Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Buckeye. Good to see you this morning. She got in early with the comment. Oh, and she's got some college football to talk about there. Wow. Oh, yeah. Buckeye still number one. Browns still suck. Yeah, they kind of do. The Blue Jackets may actually be good enough to make the playoffs. Okay. Go Tribe, and the NBA sucks. I can dig that. I can dig that. Good morning, Ken. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Fred. Good morning, Wayne. Good morning, Luca. Oh, crap. Dig that. Protect your children. Luca is here. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Ken.
Morning. What's up, dude?
So, we've moved to Rumble. We're now broadcasting live on Rumble every morning. I replaced my YouTube. Just made sense. YouTube is just I don't know. Anywho, how are you guys doing this morning?
Oh, not too bad. Just messing around with the alert message we have, but even though it's giving us the weird symbol, it still looks like it's live.
Oh, yeah, StreamYard. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, it's working. Even though we got the alert, it's working, so I don't give a shit. Hey, as long as it functions, that's all I care about.
Thank you, Fred. Yeah, in fact, here I'll let me do this for some folks here. Let me
hey, there you go, Luca.
Let me get
Once is bad enough, he got Luca to cancel his trip to Cali.
That's saying something. I'm putting it in the comments. There is the Rumble link for those who would like it. It'll show up there. There we go. There we go. There's the Rumble link. Wow. I mean, that's saying something, Luca. That is saying something. I mean, you canceling a road game trip, the Road Warrior. Wow. I just don't. I don't know what to say. I'm flabbergasted. That is oof. So we got Hump Day. Who's tomorrow's game? We got a good one tomorrow, don't we?
Hold on, I'm looking it up right now because I vaguely thought it was something that was going to be decent too, but oh God, no! It's going to be Vikings and Chargers.
I mean, the Vikings might actually get a win.
I don't know. I got a feeling this is going to be like the game we saw from, I think it was the Vikings in Chicago a few years ago, where it was like a 12-6 game or 12-9, something ridiculous like that.
Think so? I mean, look, as long as they don't wear that whatever that uniform was they wore this weekend, I mean that's better for the Chargers, right?
Okay. And now I've heard this multiple times. Now I got to see what the hell these uniforms look like because I didn't see the game.
You did not see those uniforms this weekend? Oh my God!
No, hold on, I'm looking right now.
Yeah.
What in the shit?
You gotta love that. You gotta love that response, don't you, Joe?
Was somebody making jerseys in a mustard factory and it fell in, or what the fuck is going on here? Holy shit, those are bad. Oh my God, it's the freaking ketchup and mustard bowl all over again. When we tried that color rush shit.
Yeah, it is. They are not the prettiest of uniforms.
No.
No. But look, they might actually get a win again. Look at. Yeah, Wentz is playing, but whose offensive line is worse tomorrow night? The Chargers or the Queens?
I'd almost say the Chargers, just because they're missing their starting tackles, but the Vikings are trying to give them a run for their money.
Yeah, it's this is going to be an interesting game.
Plus, Hampton is out, and the Chargers like to build their whole offense around the running game, right? Like Harbaugh took the opposite approach of coaches past with Herbert, where it's like other coaches are like, let's have Herbert throw 40 times a game. Harbaugh's like, nah, let's have him throw 18 times a game and, for 250 yards. Like, but that now it's like they got to go back to Herbert throwing 40 times a game because Hampton's injured and they don't really have it. I don't know. Losing their offensive tackles really affected them badly.
Yep.
In more than one way. Like it affected their running game, it affected their passing game.
Shit, even before they lost Joe Alt, they still look like, if not the best team in the NFL, one of.
Yeah.
And then now having the Joe Alt being the second starting tackle go down, that team's almost imploded, at least so far.
Yeah, I mean, that team is going to be. I almost don't know what to make of them.
I think they'll get it together before the end of the season, and they'll be a wild card kind of contender team.
You think they still get in?
I mean, when has Harbaugh not made the playoffs, dude? Like, he made the playoffs for him last year, didn't he? In his first year,
I think so. Yeah, he did, because that was the narrative that Herbert had thrown like 3 interceptions all year and then threw 6 in a game.
Yeah, like, I mean, but that wasn't Harbaugh's fault. Like, but my point is, like, Harbaugh, he's gonna figure it out by the end of the season. The Chargers will figure out how to play without their 2 starting offensive tackles. I don't have any Super Bowl hopes or aspirations for them. Like, I'm just saying, like, I think they're a good enough, because they're not a bad team, right? Like, they have enough pieces defensively, offensively, that they should be competitive even without their tackles. I think what we've seen the last few weeks is just them trying to adjust to not having a couple of their key guys, like once they figure that out, like once they figure out a strategy that sort of, it's like if you get your leg cut off, right, and you're like squirting blood everywhere, you put a tourniquet on it, right? Like once they figure out how to like keep themselves from bleeding out, I think they'll be able to function.
Well, what's up there, JB?
Not a lot. Bye week.
Bye week.
Shit. I know that the Vikings are playing on Thursday, but do we got to call it a bye week too?
It might be. For some reason, your channel's not going live.
It says that, but when I went on Facebook, it's running fine. So
okay. So in other words, go ahead and add the huddle back to mine. It still goes live when it says it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how are things going this morning, gentlemen? Any news out there worth talking about?
Well, there was some news this morning. We've heard about teams calling the Raiders, like Buffalo and the
Dallas.
Cowboys, trying to get Max Crosby, and the Raiders have said that they will not move Max Crosby this year.
Oh my
Well,
God.
this is-
It's almost exactly what I said happened last year.
I mean, it's every year it's the same thing. Oh my God, they're going to trade Max Crosby, and then every year it's like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Meanwhile, Max Crosby and Mark Davis are sitting in his cigar room going, "These guys are fucking idiots."
Yeah. Yeah. The only way
Yeah.
I see Max Crosby getting out of there is if he demands to be out of there.
So who are the Vikings playing again?
The Chargers.
Oh, they might win unless Joe Alt plays. I heard he returned to practice today or yesterday.
Oh, I thought he was gone for like damn near the year.
No, he started practicing limited last week.
Oh, good.
Oh shit. Yeah,
Good for him.
that will completely change my outlook of the Chargers once he's back.
I saw that last week that he returned on Wednesday and practiced Thursday.
Oh shit.
And although it slightly alters my take, it makes it actually more relevant because I said that by the end of the season they would figure it out. I think with Joe Alt back, they're more on their way to figuring it out. Like
Right.
Because
that'll be nice to have
never
him
want
back.
to have a premier offensive lineman go down, but if you got another one out there that's an all-pro type of guy too, it doesn't hurt as much.
Dude,
So,
he legit. He's already like one of the probably top 3 tackles in the league, dude.
So I want to say something because something I noticed on Monday Night Football. DJ Reader looked like he played almost exactly like our UDFAs that are on the roster in the depth of the D tackle room. He did absolutely nothing. No tackles, no pressures, nothing when he was in his 8 snaps in rotation. So I asked in my Lions chat, would you trade Reader straight up for one of the mid-tier defensive ends? And these guys are saying emphatically no, because he's depth. And I was like, but wait, we've got depth behind him that provides just as much as he did. So why do we need an expensive one as a second tier when we got a rookie that makes less and a lean that's making top money and playing like it? No matter what PFF said, you saw a difference in how the D-line was playing with him in there collapsed in the pocket from the center.
Yeah, I would massively depend on what his dead cap would be releasing him, but
It saves us $3 million.
then shit.
So I'm saying trade him. JB,
Yeah.
I'll cancel my flight to Michigan if Wentz starts that game too. Just send me your ticket then, brother.
Realistically though, JB, who's going to want to get rid of like even a mid-tier pass rusher? Pass rushers are so valuable. Like,
But if you can get one of those from one of those teams that has a buttload of picks at the bottom feeders of the division, aka Carolina,
the Jets,
the Jets, any of them.
who do the Jets have as pass rushers?
Yeah,
I know-
but I honestly don't think the Jets are going to move on from any of their guys trade-wise this year, because you heard the owner sit there, and he's given rave reviews about Aaron Glenn. I mean, he's absolutely torching Justin Fields, but he's given rave reviews for Aaron Glenn. So you got to think that he's going to stay around.
Man,
they're not gonna
yeah,
want
that
to-
was
Hey,
crazy.
thank you, Buckeye.
That was crazy. The owner pretty much came out and said like, well, you'd be 0-7 too if you were starting our quarterback. Like he pretty much came out and said that. Like, I was actually really surprised. Like, bro, at least pretend that you have some in the guy. Like, you know,
The thing
what
with
happened to
the
being
Jets-
politically correct? Like,
The thing with the Jets is this, though. The Jets, like, their defense runs through Quentin Williams. Quentin Williams has been out, and they're building something. So if they've got the only edge rushers or the only defensive players I could see them moving are guys who are long in the tooth. So they're better players. They're guys who are starting right now are all young in the tooth. So unless you got like that grizzled 10-year vet who's like probably not going to sign another contract and might walk away after this season, they're not trading. They're not going to be selling in that way. And that's the thing about
You
the
know who has
dynamic.
I got one for you.
Hold on, JB. This is the thing about the dynamic that I've been talking about in buying and selling. We've seen change over the last 2 or 3 years. Teams that historically 5 years ago would say, "Oh yeah, they're selling," and they would dump their young guys, they would dump whatever to get draft capital. Are not. They're buying. The Bears were buyers in their rebuild. The Lions were buyers in their rebuild when they were sucking and they had terrible records. They were all buying. These teams that are at the bottom, they're buying more than they're selling now. It's the mid teams who are like, okay, we're there, but we're going to miss the playoffs by a game or two. They're the sellers. It's not the bottom guys anymore. It's the mid guys.
There is one guy on the trade block that I would consider because he makes $2 million less than Reeder. It would be $1 million less, and it would be you could do an even up trade, and who knows, because they definitely need D tackle help, and they might actually win some more games. The Saints, Cam Jordan.
Let me look at his. You say they'll trade Cam Jordan?
He's been one of the ones mentioned as being on the trade block. Alvin Kamara is not.
Yeah, yes and no. Yeah, yes and no. From my perspective, is it can kind of make sense there, but where it doesn't make sense to me is he's kind of a staple for that organization, and I don't know if they'd want to move on from him, especially when you're in a bad year. You want to have some star power to get the fans to still come.
Well,
but and also,
so here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing, real quick on Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan's cap number this year is 9.7, so prorated out, he's probably owed somewhere around 5 or 6 million still. His cap hit next year this is where it gets interesting. This is where he might be tradable. His cap number is 18.7, but it's a void year. So really, the contract void. So if you're trading for him, you're not worried about a hefty price tag for next year because you can just re-sign him and there's no $18 million cap hit. So if you think that Cam Jordan, if you're one of these teams, like the Lions, for example, or you're the Bears or whoever, and you want to take a shot at a 36-year-old edge rusher this year, which he's still playing at a pretty good level this year, so it might be worth it for this year. And then you're like, we'll let him walk. He's a pure rental. Then yeah, he makes sense, especially if you don't have to give up. You probably give him a 4th or 5th rounder to rent him for the year, and you save the Saints $4 or $5 million they can roll into the cap next year.
But if they end up with a guy like Reeder that can mentor their young defensive tackles that haven't been playing well,
that too.
And not have to give up draft capital, because let's face it, we don't have the draft capital to really be trading with no 3rd-round picks the next 2 seasons.
Well, Cam might be a 4th or 5th round pick.
With his production, they'd ask more. We keep saying that they'll ask this, they'll ask that, and you'll see more given for some guys and less given for others. Now, the Carolina Panthers were stupid to let Brian Burns go for as little as he did to the Giants, because look how he's doing for him. He's 2nd in sacks in the league right now?
Here's interesting.
They let him go for a bologna sandwich. Like, I don't understand that shit.
I couldn't believe it.
And a thimble-sized fountain pop.
Yeah.
Cam Jordan's valuation right now, his cap number, like I said, is 9.7. His valuation is 15.7. The dude for 36 is still playing at a very good level. He might be worth signing until he's 38 years old. I mean, he might be one of these freaks of nature who can play into his 40s. So,
but he also could be that rental player that puts the team that's making a playoff push over the top when they have a guy that is a true star on the opposite side. Montez Sweat, Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
You guys got Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary. You guys don't need it. Mm-hmm. Even though technically Rashawn Gary's having probably his career year so far through 7 weeks. Mm-hmm. But that's because Micah Parsons is taking on the same type of blocking that Aiden Hutchinson is for Detroit. That's why you see right now a half a sack behind Gary is who? Al-Qadim Muhammad. And nobody talked about that part.
So right now this year he's got 13 solo tackles, 2.5 sacks. What Cam Jordan has. Um,
But his
I
pressure
mean,
rate is better than that.
yeah. I'm just
His,
looking at the pure
his,
numbers. I don't see the pressure rate on
his,
ESPN stat.
I looked up. I looked up pressure rates last night. He's sitting at about 15th in the league. Al Qadim Muhammad is sitting at 20th. We know that Marcus Davenport, you can't expect him to make it through 2
Devin Boop.
consecutive games healthy.
So I mean, look at that. That's actually one guy the Saints could actually sell to try to save themselves some money towards next year. But the Saints, like the rest of the guys, a lot of guys they've got, you just can't sell because the money
Right.
on the back end, like Kamara, like he makes sense. He's owed about $6 million for the rest of the year. I mean, cool, but next year it's an $18 million cap hit, and it's not
With a ton
voidable.
of dead cap.
So that's where. There you go. Yeah, that's where issues come in with the Saints being sellers. The Jets. Let me look at the Jets real quick. I mean, just out of curiosity, I don't think the Jets are going to be selling much, especially the younger guys. But they might have some older guys that could be rentals. But here's the thing, though, too. If you're the Lions, or if you're the Bears, if you're the NFC North, I mean, are you really looking at rentals? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you are this year. The problem is we got this week and next week, and then that's it. We're at the trade. I think they need to move the trade deadline back to like week 10.
You know what, Ken? I'm so with you on that because it almost seems like the trade deadline happens like in the beginning of the season. I know it's technically the midway, roughly, but it don't feel like it.
So, guys are going to be free agents next year. They've got Andre Cisco, a safety, if you need a safety. I don't know if you want to take any of their offensive linemen. Really, Isaiah Oliver, he's a low-end corner. You don't have.
Shit, I'd almost willing to take the fucking dice roll on that.
On what?
So, I mean,
on their low end corner, because shit, it's got to be better than what Hobbs is putting out there.
Yeah. See, now here's something I want to say that I was trying to get across yesterday in the comments, and I don't think it was. Baker uncharacteristically had 22 incompletions, one of them being an interception, right?
Oh, Baker had his worst game of the season, for sure.
But 12 of those were passes defended that were on target. So, yes, he still had another 10 passes that were off target.
The Lions defense is the best defense in the history of mankind.
That is not what I'm saying. Good Lord. Let me finish. You're not even letting me go there. What I'm saying is those UDFAs and cast-offs of other teams that we put on that roster were better than everybody thought.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Shit. That's why in the beginning of the show I gave it to Kelvin Shepard there that he seems like a real defensive coordinator because I did not buy into him whatsoever as the defensive coordinator for you guys. But he's shown he's got chops for it.
Yeah, they look at their defense played a great game, and Baker it was a great confluence of things. The defense played really good. Baker was off. The offense in general was off. Their play calling was off. The only thing that looked even semi like the Bucks in that game was their defense had some moments. Their offense would move the ball on the Lions, but then they would kind of, they moved the ball a little bit, but then when they get like 30 yards out, it was like they forgot how to play offense. I mean, it was a definitely a confluence of things. And look, for you guys, it was a revenge game from last year, from taking the L at home. Yeah,
I just felt like it was a statement game after losing the week before.
Well, that too. Then you were rebounding off that really bad loss to Kansas City, where you guys made Kansas City look like they were world beaters again. So there's a couple things for that game. It's funny the way that the league works because, it's like I said a couple weeks ago, you can't play you beat this guy, we beat that guy game because everyone's beating everybody. You know, I mean, and the NFC North is still wide open. Yes, even the Vikings still have a chance. You know, because the difference of first and last is like a game. You know, I mean, actually, first and second, it's a half game. Is it 2 games for the Vikings now?
Yep.
But you got so many division games left that it really that's why I'm saying like having the trade deadline at week 8. I think it should be maybe week 9 or week 10. Um,
I'd be all for week 10.
Week 10 might be too far, but maybe week 9 might be. It just seems
Well,
early.
just think you still have 7 games after week 10, so it's not like it's the end of the freaking season.
Yeah, you
So
got 8 weeks left of the season. Yeah, I mean, because remember, it's 18. Actually, week 9 seems better because in reality, it's an 18-week season, right? You only have 17 games, but it's an 18-week season. I think week 9 should be they should extend it 1 week, make it the pure middle. But you know, look at hockey, baseball, everything else. It's like what 3/4 of the season almost.
isn't the trade deadline actually week 9? Because if so, we'd already seen a million trades
No,
this week.
it's the Tuesday after week 8's Monday Night Football game. So we
Right.
have Monday Night
So week
Football.
9.
So
That's
it's
week 9.
before the trade deadline is at the beginning of week 9. So after that deadline, it's not, you know, you can still trade. I mean, you can always still trade, but now you have the waiver process. But in just pure like, hey, you got a guy, I want him. You want to give him to me, that kind of trade without having to clear waivers ends at Tuesday after Monday Night Football. So
what I was
it should go through one more week, I think. They should extend it out one more week. So you have until the Tuesday after Monday Night Football, week 9, to free and clear make trades without a waiver process. And most trades do clear the waiver process, but every so often we see one that doesn't, right? And some team swoops in and steals the trade. Says, "Oh, well, wait, I got a second rounder, and I'm higher on the waiver wire. Yeah, I'll step in and do it." And we've seen guys take it. We've seen deals get completely torpedoed. Um, so you know that's when you start getting into the foo-foo game land. So I mean, one more week I think would be probably fair. Then it's the true midway mark of the actual season in terms of it's an 18-week season because you got to factor the bye weekend. This weekend we'll definitely get clarity. I think we'll get more clarity on who some of the buyers and sellers are going to be and what the buyers are going to be buying. Like if you're Green Bay, they're looking for a corner. If you're Chicago, you're looking for a corner. You know, only because
Chicago doesn't want a corner.
well, look at Nashon Wright is a kind of a point of contention with Bears fans. Some like, oh, I can see why the Vikings cut him. And others like, you know what? He's made some really good plays. Yeah, he's gotten burnt, but he's not. He was never, you know, he's a backup who's been pressed into being a starter full time because JJ's out. But he's been serviceable. He's played really well. But there are some Bear fans that, well, serviceable is not good enough. Well, dude, you can't have all pro in every position starting. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way in the NFL. You know, so sometimes you got to take what you can get. So I mean, we could use an upgrade there maybe because I mean we might get JJ back mid-December, and I say might. The Lions, I don't know what they don't have a real big track record of buying with their GM, but
No, the mid-tier moves is exactly what he does. That's why I suggested this type of trade. It's a type of Brad Holmes type of move. An aging player on his way out who still has production.
and the Vikings, I don't know, get a quarterback.
Anything better than when
I mean, you know, they got the Ginger Jesus too, Wentz, and then they got the quarterback of the future who spent more games not in playing this year than playing, but he's their future. So this is year 2 of JJ McCarthy. How many games has he played? 3? 2?
two and
Three.
a half, actually.
Yeah, 2.5. So your quarterback in the future in 2 years has played 2.5 games. I think they're drafting. You almost have to draft a quarterback if you're the Vikings this year.
Let me rephrase that. You don't have to do it in the first round because then that doesn't put the pressure on that quarterback. You could grab him in the second or third round and have him learn behind one of those mid-tier quarterbacks coming out.
Yeah. You know, I mean, ask Dylan Gabriel how that worked out being drafted in a later round and not be pressured in. I mean, look, there's still that. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Dylan Gabriel's like the exception, not the rule, right? That here's your third rounder is now a starter before we even get to the midway point.
Because the
And he was
Browns put up
dark.
the trade their starter in the
You know,
division.
Dart's a guy who probably, normally shouldn't be starting this year, but yet here's Dart starting. And that's a problem because Dart's having success now that bar, that was, if you're a top 10 quarterback in the draft in the first 10 picks, you're starting right away. I think that bar just got pushed up a couple slots because of Dart this year. And it's going to be like if you're drafted anywhere in the first round, fans are going to expect you to start right away.
Yeah, and then you're going to see a whole bunch of quarterbacks' careers get absolutely ruined by the team that drafts them. And then they're going to be sitting there saying, how does Green Bay keep doing it back to back to back? Well, you see, we do the same thing over and over by sitting these guys and let them develop. Now, let's do the complete opposite. That's
you're going to see more Daniel Jones and Danny Dimes situations where they're going to be really bad with the teams that draft them for 2 or 3 years and then go somewhere else and they're going to be really good. And people are like, what the hell, man? I mean, it's just going to be, there was a stat this weekend. How many starting quarterbacks in the league were drafted by the team they played? I can't remember the number, but it was a pretty amazing stat, and I think it's less than half.
All I'm hearing is you making the case for them to bring back Rosen and let him start somewhere.
Let's look Manziel while we're at it, too. I mean, why not?
Well, shit, I figure one of these teams can find an 8-ball for him. He'll probably come.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a little. It is interesting with the quarterbacks in the draft and the situation, but it's like there are some needy teams.
At the same time, prior to the draft, I said Jackson Dart was one of the best quarterbacks in this draft, even though he wasn't a top 10.
Fred, the problem, Fred, I don't really disagree with you on that, but I disagree with you on that because I don't think you'd want JJ as your backup with your new quarterback next year. I think it's not quite the Baker Mayfield situation, but there's similarities to it. Like, JJ's being told he's the future, blah, blah, blah. Now you draft his replacement and have him battle in camp. If he should happen to lose, you've just destroyed the dude's career mentally. I think he would never be good in Minnesota. That once again, that now JJ would be good somewhere else.
Well, all you got to do is let him start one more game, and he'll get injured for the rest of the season. Then you don't got to worry about it.
Honestly, dude, I would look at it like this: if the Vikings are looking to draft a quarterback this year, which at this point I would at least be looking at it because, I mean, the guy can't stay healthy. You trade him off and get what you can for him. Like you cut your losses. Maybe he goes on to have success with another team, maybe not. But that team is going to know what they're getting into. Like, hey, this guy's played 2.5 games in 2 years. Like, we'll give you like a 7th for him, I guess. Like, No, I'm being serious. Like, if you're the Vikings, I think it's like, what are you really out? Like you're out of a fully guaranteed contract that's like $10 million a year. So the cap hit's not going to be like ridiculous, right? The other team will assume a good chunk of that. You might have like a couple million in dead cap. You get something back and then you move on with your new guy. Because I don't think if you draft a first round quarterback while JJ's still on the roster, I don't think like he's just going to be cool with that and like, hey, let's go to camp and let's battle for the job. It's automatically going to tank his confidence. Like, wow, they're already giving up on me. Like,
That's why I suggested the 2nd or 3rd round guy in day 2, because then it's less of a pressure on JJ himself because the expectations are lower.
Right, but that's if you believe that JJ is the guy. Like, or do the Vikings believe he's the guy? Like, at this point, I wouldn't.
That's all we've heard, though. That's all we've heard them say.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I agree.
I'm going off of what they said, and going into the next season, if JJ's still on the roster, if he starts any games and looks halfway decent and pulls off 4th quarter miracles like he did in Chicago week 1.
Here's the thing. With JJ now, you're drinking hopium.
Not really.
Honestly, in a way you are, because the guy can't be healthy. You're drinking hopium, hoping the kid can stay healthy. That's where the hopium part comes in. Maybe not in his skills, JB. You're right there, but in terms of his health, yeah. So he comes back, has a good game. You're like, yes, this is going to be the guy, the man of the future. And look, if you're the team, you're still saying that because you don't want to damage the kid psychologically. right? Yeah, JJ's our guy. When he gets healthy, he's our guy. Cool. But in the back of their heads are going, they got to start going, has this kid got like a glass jaw? Is he Chuck Liddell all of a sudden, who was dominant, but now he gets knocked out?
I was going to say, you better quantify that, because Chuck Liddell
was the man, right? Chuck Liddell was the man. Then all of a sudden he had a glass jaw. Is JJ got a glass jaw in the back of their head? That's what they have to be thinking in Minnesota. So, but publicly, yeah, you're not doing anything to destroy this kid psychologically. You're saying all those things. You're right, JB. Yep, he's our man. And that's what we all have to go on. But let's peel that onion back for a minute. And let's think about reality for a minute. Because while you're 100% right, psychologically, they have to say that. They're not, because the second they start changing the tune, that's when we know as fans, he's gone. The second they say, well, he might not be the guy of the future, that's it. He's gone. Because now they don't care about his psychological well-being anymore. And that's the big neon light saying JJ is not the guy, not the guy ever going to be the guy in Minnesota.
But at the same time, until they say that, he is the guy. So you have to go with what they're saying, is what I'm saying.
Oh no, I agree. But I think though, when it's just like Quezzy and the coaches, they're going, all right, guys, look, we need to start kind of looking at quarterbacks, start doing some research very quietly, and be prepared that we may have to go in this direction, because I'd be concerned. Look, I would be concerned if I'm them. Here's my quarterback of the future, who in 2 years has spent a whole year out with the knee injury, and he's been out basically over half this season with injury. I can't keep my quarterback of the future on the field. The one game against the Bears, he looked like shit for 3 quarters, looked good in the fourth. He looked okay in another game, he was actually bad in the loss, and he started to look okay, and he got hurt again. So I don't have, if I'm Quezzy, I probably don't have the complete warm fuzzy in his game tape. His practice tape may be great, and we know he's a good guy, and he's smart and all this, but in the back of the head, I guarantee you Quezzy's got an eye on some quarterbacks as a contingency plan, because if let's say JJ goes in after the bye week, he goes in and he gets injured again by week 11. Like, I think even Luka is going to be going, yeah, I can't be drinking the hopium anymore on this kid.
I agree. I think it would be irresponsible for the Vikings to not be considering a quarterback at this point.
Hey, just a Super Bowl Vike. That's what I've been trying to say, because but nobody's wanting to hear it.
No, I mean that's legit though too, JB. What you and just Super Bowl Vikings saying, that's legit. Like, they have offensive line issues, but they can both be true, right? They need to get a better offensive line, but they also need to get a quarterback who's more durable.
Mm-hmm.
Both can be true. It's not an either or. And I mean, it just could be like, yeah, he could be good, but it might not work out for him because of that situation, right? Well, there's a reason for that, Fred, and even all our teams do it. It's a psychological piece of it.
JAB and John Morton are twins.
There's a psychological piece to all of this, right? I mean,
he's talking about me. Okay.
There's a psychological piece to it, because you don't want your player hearing in the news that statements are coming from the organization that he may not be the guy, because
you don't want to be in a situation where you have Justin Fields and the Jets there, where the owner's sitting there actively talking shit about the quarterback.
Yeah. You want to be you don't want that. That's not a good situation. You want to be in a situation like if JB or I or Ken or someone in the paid sports media says it, cool, because they're not listening to any of them anyways. I mean, they hear it, but they don't care. They don't. The guys who are professional, some of them do, and that's another story altogether. But most of them are just like, whatever, so the media doesn't like me, big deal. I'll prove them wrong. But once they say, oh, well, the GM might not have faith in me, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm the Vikings, I would trade him on draft night. No, I'm being serious. Like, I would look for somebody who's willing to, take on that contract, because his contract, it's like $10 million a year. It's like basically good backup money, right? Like it's the money you would pay for a good backup in the league. So I'm looking at like, is there, because he's still only 2 years into his contract, right? So
His rookie deal,
there's gonna be a team out there who's like, you know what? Maybe he was just snake bit with them. Maybe we can keep him on the field. You know, like teams delude themselves all the time.
And Joe, okay, well, first off, let me pull up his contract. This year's cap number was 4.6. His cap number next year is 5.9. His fourth year is 5 or 6.9. His rookie fifth year option will probably be around 27, 28, right, when we get to that point. So he's cheap. He's back, like Joe said, he's backup money. And then you take this into consideration. Indiana Jones, Mac Jones, all these cast-offs, Sam Darnold, who went to second teams or third teams in some cases, and all of a sudden, they're good. So there's a good argument there.
Yeah, but I don't know if the Vikings would be willing to admit defeat on their first-round quarterback so soon. That they might have, like Joe was talking about with the delusion, that, oh, he just had a couple of bad luck years of getting injured. Once he gets healthy, he's going to be that guy.
You know who that reminds me of, Ken, when you say that? Hey, let's sign Mark Pryor to a 1-year, $1 million deal so he can rehab and be the dominant pitcher he was for the Cubs in 03-04. And the guy did that for 10 years and never pitched another MLB inning. Now one. You always saw him throw the towel, though. He threw lots of towels in simulated games. He did a lot of simulated games for teams, but he never pitched again. I mean, that's the other side of that coin. You know, but I mean, Joe's not wrong. If Quezzy and them decide, look, we can't hope he stays healthy. We need to move on. Yeah, trade him on draft night and get something out of him. I mean, that makes sense.
I just was trying not to go down the rabbit hole the wrong way.
Yeah, I get you, but I mean, the reality of it is, if this kid can't be healthy, if this kid can't come back after the bye healthy, let's say he's supposed to, they're projecting him back, and he comes back after the bye, and he plays 1 or 2 games, and he's out for 3 or 4 more games because of injury, I think Minnesota has a problem, and they need to draft a quarterback.
Now, I could agree with you that they'd have a problem, but I still think he gets a bare minimum of 1 more year to prove that he can get healthy.
Here's what I'm going to say, and I'll leave it at that. I agree with just the Super Bowl Mike says there. I would rather have, and I think he meant Wentz in there getting his ass beat than JJ.
We know they have offensive line issues, and they're obviously going to try to address that in the offseason. Because Quezzy's not stupid. He's a pretty smart dude, even though he couldn't see his own JJ when he was in disguise, which was absolutely hilarious if you haven't watched that yet. Yeah, no doubt, Fred. I don't know, man. I think if the health issues persist this season with JJ, their window is not going to be open that forever. If the opportunity is right, I think Quezzy does it. We always say Quezzy's crazy. He does things that make us go, what the hell? And they always seem to work. And I don't see him not making a move.
That's a very good point by Joseph Austin. Look at Matt Stafford's first 2 years. We're out of 32 games. He missed 18 of them.
I get that, but that's totally different situation. Totally different situation, isn't it?
Talking about the number 1 pick overall who missed 6 games his first year due to the shoulder separation versus Cleveland.
Well, first off,
missed almost the whole next season because of having to have shoulder surgery again on the same shoulder.
Okay, but JJ wasn't the number 1 pick overall. The Minnesota Vikings are a team that think they're in their Super Bowl window right now. The Lions weren't. They want to win now. I don't think they have the time. And
I think with their O-line problems, they do have the time, because until the O-line fix, they can't trust JJ to be able to be healthy.
Well, I get that,
There's also
ahead.
the fact that you just said Stafford missed 18 out of 32 games in his first 2 seasons, right?
Yep.
Like McCarthy has already missed more than 18 games. Like he's actually only played 3 games in a season and a half. We're looking at 3 games. We'll round up and call it 3 games in what 24, 25 games. So he's going to actually outpace Stafford for games missed by a long shot. So
But at the same time, he returned to practice not last week, the week before in limited fashion. Been there 2 weeks, but we heard rumors that he was going to start, and every week they went back to Wentz.
It was probably a smart move if they didn't play him last week, just to wait till after the bye. Make sure he's healthy. So they've done that now. They've done their due diligence. They've taken the proper precautions to make sure that this kid's healthy come post bye week. If he goes out after the bye and gets hurt again, they're looking. I'm sorry, because now it's a durability issue.
If they were 4-2, if they were 5-1 or 5-2, guess what? I'd be having that conversation with you, but they're not. They're sitting at the bottom of the division after last week.
I get that. And if he gets hurt again, it's a durability issue, and they are going to start looking at the draft. And
They already announced Wentz is the starter this week, even though JJ's at practice.
yeah, I could see Ken's argument, Ken the Packer fans' argument about them, diluting themselves and giving him another year. I think it's certainly a possibility, but I feel like it would be irresponsible of them to at least not look at this quarterback class and make a real, have a real come to Jesus meeting with Kwesi and the coach.
And that's where I'm at, Joe. And Joe, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not saying they're going to actually pull the trigger, but they got to be thinking, I got a durability issue.
Yeah. They'd be foolish not to consider it at least.
Yeah, they have to. You would, if you're a Vikings fan, you would expect them to. If he comes back and gets hurt again, it becomes a durability issue. I get the O-line piece and all that, but if the guy in 2 seasons plays 4 games in 2 seasons, because every time he comes in, he's a game or 2 and then back on the injury list, I get the offensive line is shit, but it's a durability issue. Last year, the offensive line was shit in Chicago. Caleb took the most sacks in NFL history, did not miss a game.
He was just shy of the most sacks.
Did not miss a game. You know? So, I mean, if it's still, they're looking at it's a durability issue. They are going to take a hard look. If they say, hey, this guy is as good as or better than JJ and is durable, they may consider pulling the trigger. I mean, I agree with you, Ken and JB. Yeah, you'd like them to go out at least to year three with this guy. But they got some other contractual issues they're going to have to worry about on both sides of the ball and keeping this team together. Offensive line notwithstanding, if they spend money on the offensive line this year, which they should. I mean, look at the Bears, went from worst to top 3, right? An offensive line in an offseason, it can be done. And if they do that and he still gets hurt next year, definitely durability issues. Right now, that's I don't care. We can say what we want about the O-line, but the hanging sign on JJ's door right now is durability issue until he proves otherwise.
If you have a bad offensive line, you have to have a quarterback that can take the hits. It's just, you need a tough guy, and I'm not saying JJ is not tough, but he's just a bit fragile, for whatever reason.
So we'll see what goes. Oh, Ken, I have a question for you. I want to get off this whole JJ McCarthy crap real quick. This came up last night on Driving to the Top on the open mic that JB was there just in time to promote the channel, which was perfect timing, by the way, JB. A lot of baseball last night. We were talking about coaches on the hot seat, and we got about 10 minutes left. And I said this, and it was kind of based on something you said earlier. They said it was like, and when they did, they said if this good team goes 7-9-1, do they fire the coach? And they meant the Cowboys. I was like, okay. What if that is the Packers for some reason? Is LaFleur's job in jeopardy if for some reason you guys finish the season 7-9-1?
I don't think it's in jeopardy, but it puts a major microscope on the next coming year if somehow that happened.
What if you guys go to the playoffs and are one and done? Because like even
I think I think it would be the same outcome.
okay, because I mean like even yep, we'll roll right into JV show, Fred. I mean because even like no one looks at that Cowboys playoff victory like, come on, it's the Cowboys. Of course we beat the Cowboys. It's like, no, he gets credit, but he doesn't get credit. It's almost like, come on, like really, especially the whole McCarthy thing and whatnot. But he's an interesting point because we're trying to figure out, okay, who are the coaches who are on the hot seat, and really this season's kind of hard to figure out, right? Okay, JB's getting prepared for his show. It's really kind of hard to figure out because McDaniels, I mean, ownership is saying no in Miami, and he's saying, well, I need to make some changes to my staff. Okay, maybe he gets another year. Maybe he doesn't. I love his press conferences. Maybe he's in the hot seat. Raheem Morris, if they don't at least finish in second place, Atlanta, maybe because he was a little bit last year.
McDaniel, I think he would be gone at the end of this season. But Raheem Morris, I think as long as they don't absolutely suck this year, I think he still has himself another year there because they have had some damn good wins this year.
So I don't think Miami gets rid of McDaniel. I think if anything, they dump Tua before they dump him. I think McDaniel will sacrifice Tua for one more season and go draft a quarterback, especially now when you're picking top 5, like you have an opportunity to go get a guy. The problem is they're going to have to eat a shit ton of dead cap because nobody's going to take on Tua's contract.
See, Fred, you're exactly where I am because that's what I'm getting at. I think at best you have 2 or 3 coaches. Because what about Gannon? I think he's fine in Arizona. They're a team, with their win-loss records now. You look at their losses. Every single one of the games comes down to a last-minute score. I mean, you look at the Packers game. It's fucking close as hell. I mean, they're really
playing with a backup quarterback.
They're a really
that
good
backup quarterback. Team. I think they should switch him to the starter. We all know how much I love Kyler Murray and all that.
Without getting off topic and staying on the coaching topic here, they are a really good football team that just aren't getting the break. So Gannon's safe, right? And they're like, okay, but what about AG? Safe. They're going to give him at least 2 years to get it figured out there because they had so many issues with the Jets. They love AG. The players love AG. And you've got some injury circumstances like with Quentin Williams being out. That's the defense right there. They know they've got stuff to do that's not AG's issue, that they were a mess from top to bottom, and AG is part of the cure, not the problem, right? So AG, safe. And then it's like, okay, well, it's like first-year coaches. Like, no, these first-year coaches are going to get very rare. Do you get it? Look at Lovie Smith gets fired as a first-year coach. Why? Because he wins the last game, giving the Bears the number 1 pick, and then D'Amico Ryans is right there. Why does New England go one and done with their head coach? Well, because contractually they had to give him the job, and Vrabel was sitting right there waiting to come home. Like those are those rare instances where first-year coaches are one and done. Most of them are safe. If you look at the NFC North, I don't think there's a single coach in NFC North who's going to worry about their job. If you look at the AFC South outside of Raheem Morris, I don't see a single thing. Now, D'Amico Ryans, though, in the AFC South, I think if he could be one of those 2 or 3 guys who needs to worry a little bit if they have another substandard season because they're living off of the hopium they stocked up on for his rookie season of coaching. They haven't been that good last year and this year. They're not nearly as good as they were.
I actually was going to say that. I think D'Amico Ryans is possibly one of those quiet contenders for the hot seat. Like they've underperformed the last 2 years, and if I'm Houston, like D'Amico Ryans is a good defensive coach, but I'm looking for a guy that can bring Stroud to that next level. I'm looking for an offensive coach who's a quarterback whisperer who can take my offense and take Stroud to that next level.
Well, but Joe, that's where you get the next problem. Who's going to be a replacement for these guys? Now, there's a certain defensive coordinator in Minnesota who's, if his court case, which is going to arbitration, clears before the end of the season, will now be looking for a head coaching gig. So that's a defensive-minded coach, right? Offensively-minded coach, what offensive coordinators are out there? Well, whoever, you could always say, any offensive coordinator from Tampa seems to be a good head coaching option because
Oh,
all their
absolutely.
offensive coordinators seem to do well.
I was going to say that's probably the best one. I can tell you they absolutely don't want Stanovich from Green Bay. This guy does absolutely nothing here. And I hear he likes to take lollipops from children, so they should just leave that guy alone.
But I mean, but you see what the point is. Like, not only, as Fred said, we had so much coaching turnover, it's probably a light year, but then the possible candidates are pretty light too. The only one that we can think of is Flores, who would be, he'd be a head coach candidate, right? But after Flores, it gets a little dicey at this point of the season. Another guy who could get fired if it goes south, and that's Nick Sirianni. Is Jerry going to fire his head coach? Well, Jerry, you never know, because Jerry wants a Super Bowl now. I think that's dependent. If a guy like Sirianni gets fired, maybe, but would Sirianni really want to go work for Jerry? Probably not.
Yeah, but I think it'd be very stupid if they got rid of Kellen Moore, because look at how well that offense is doing. I think what they need to do is flush Eberflus.
Well, and fix their defense.
Eberflus has a good. That's exactly, Joe. Eberflus has a good, because you took away the best pass rusher in the game for me, and you left me with we're better. Yeah, you got me a run stopper. Yeah, we're better on the run now, but look at our pass now. We don't get the pressures. We don't get. I mean, even though they looked pretty decent against Washington, right? They need pieces, and so Eberflus I don't think gets released because they are getting better as a defense. It takes time. With a new defensive coordinator every time. It takes time. This is not to be unexpected. They're playing a lot of zone. I think they're playing a lot of zone because they don't have the personnel to play a lot of man.
That's fair. And I wasn't stumping for Eberflus. I don't care either way if they fire him or let him go. When I said fix the defense, I mean like your offense is humming right now. Like, going into the offseason, like this draft, you need to focus heavy and get some defensive studs, man, and then see where you're at.
Jordan. Hey, go get your Cam Jordan. He's cheap, right? Maybe that's what they do. He might be safe in Dallas. If they don't fire the head coach, I think that whole coaching staff is safe. You got to give your new coordinator at least 2 seasons, usually until that second season, unless they're just completely ass. And I don't think Eberflus has been that for what he's got to work with. They've actually been pretty good. I mean, look how they played you guys. Yeah, they didn't lose. They should have won that game. But the guy they traded saved the game for you. So I mean, they've got some arguments to keep Eberflus there. You're good, Mitch. You're always good. I was just tired yesterday, like we're giving you credit, but saying, and it's like, oh my God, no, it can't be that he just had a bad game too. It had to be that our defense is super stellar. I mean, both could be true. And it was true. Ken's like, no, it can't. They just had to suck. No, but I mean, so I think though Fred's right. I'm on Fred's train there. I think the coaching carousel is very limited this year. Maybe 2 to 3 coaches. We've already got one. I don't expect any other in-season firings per se.
I got an interesting candidate for you. I don't know if he would necessarily go there, but the NFL's lawsuit with John Gruden is like. They just got taken to Discovery, right? No, I'm talking about to Houston. Gruden to go coach Stroud?
Maybe. Because when you listen to him talk, he seems to really like Stroud.
We're 2 years out. We're 2 years out from Gruden being available, I think.
Think so?
It looks like, yeah.
I think if he got offered the coaching job, I think if he got offered the coaching job in Houston right now.
Dude, he could have had any coaching job he wanted last year pretty much, and he didn't even try.
But they didn't have a guy that he likes like Stroud.
He's having way.
He really liked Stroud.
He liked Caleb, and he was in Chicago and even tried to talk to the Bears, and he loves Caleb as well. So I mean, no, I think he's waiting. It's about 2 years for that court case to work its way through. Gruden's having way too much fun at Barstool and getting big boxes from every team in America that he gets to unpack on YouTube. And with that final bad take. Guys, we're done for the day for our first show on Rumble. Thank you for those on Rumble helping us on this journey there and all our other networks. Don't forget today we got the MMA Maniacs at 2 p.m. We've got House Hall tonight, and we've got JB's Roundtable. And JB is next on Lions Talk on the network, so go give him a watch. But until tomorrow, guys, Have a good one. Thanks.